Wish you all. So today we are going to see about chapter 20. It is locomotion and movement. So in locomotion and movement, what we are going to see about? So here we are going to see about the types of movements and which is responsible for the movement, that is muscle. We will see about the types of movement in which two important systems are involved. What are they? They are the muscle and the skeleton. Locomotion and movement. Movement is one of the significant feature of all the living organisms. Introduction. So here what we are going to see about movement. So what is movement? It is the important feature of almost all the living beings, and this is also involved in animals as well as plants too. In lower organisms, if we see the amoeba, so they are having false feet. With that they are moving a type of movement, we call it as amoeboid movement, and this movement is enabled by the cytoplasmic streaming. And other structures are also there. They are cilia, flagella and tentacles. With this, many other organisms are undergoing this movement. We call it as locomotion. So movement by cilia, flagella and tentacles are also involved in movement. So next we have to see movement in human being. So in human being, which is helpful for moving, and what are the organs that are involved in moving? Let us see about that. Human beings can move limbs, jaws, eyelids, tongue, etc. So all these movements are happening through the movement of body parts. This body part movement may also lead to locomotion. So that locomotion types of movement are called as walking, running, climbing, flying. All these are locomotory movements which are involved by muscles. So next we have to see locomotory structures which are helpful for what type of activities. So locomotory structures, first we will see in paramecium, it is cilia. What is the help of cilia in paramecium? So they are helpful for moving the food, and the same cilia is helpful for locomotion also. Next one, hydra, they have tentacles. These tentacles are useful for holding the prey as a food and also for locomotion. Use of limbs and locomotion. So here we use limbs for changing the body posture. By changing this body posture, locomotion occurs. So these suggests what? They are suggesting that movements and locomotions cannot be studied separately. These two can be linked. In what way? They can be linked by these activities. What are those activities? So we can say that all locomotions are movements, but all movements are not locomotion. Can you differentiate these two things? All locomotions are movement, but all movements are not locomotion. All locomotions are movement. If an organism moves from one place to another place, the body parts are moved. By that, the displacement has occurred. So all locomotions are happened due to movement of body parts. And here another word says that all movements are not locomotion. Here we can say all the body movements are not displacing the area or place. So that is not causing locomotion. So we say that all movements are not locomotion. Simply if we shake our hands, this is a movement of body part. They are not useful for locomotion. But if we shake our legs while walking, it is causing locomotion. So that we say all locomotions are movement, but all movements are not locomotion. We will see methods of locomotion vary with animals, with their habitat, and in that habitat they may need locomotion for various situations. These locomotions may be for search of food, shelter, or for searching mate or to find out a breeding ground, or due to the environmental change we call it as climatic change, or to escape from the enemies and the predators, the locomotion is must, and it is varying for different animals. So here we have to see the types of movements next. What are those types? So these types of movements which are exhibited by different organisms. So cells of the human body, they exhibit three types of movements. The first one is amoeboid movement. So amoeboid movement, where it occurs, we have to see, and then ciliary movement, where it occurs, we have to see, and the muscular. First we will see about amoeboid movement. So what is that amoeboid movement? Like macrophages and leukocytes, they are undergoing this amoeboid movement. How do they undergo this movement? By presence of pseudopodia. It is present in actually amoeba. Same type of cells are there in our body also. So it is one of the leukocyte or WBC cell which we call it as macrophages, and they exhibit this amoeboid movement, and it is affected by forming the pseudopodia by because of the streaming of the cytoplasm. You can see here the cytoplasm or the cytoskeleton of this amoeba is moving from one place to another place. This movement causes forming the false feet here at one end of the organism. By that they are able to move. So the cytoskeletal elements like microfilaments are involved in this amoeboid movement. Next we have to see next type, that is ciliary movement. Ciliary movement occurs in most of the internal tubular organs which are lined by ciliary epithelium, and the coordinated movements of the cilia in the trachea, they are helpful as for removing the dust particles, the excess mucus and other things. So it is helpful for bringing out these dust particles from the respiratory tract, in which the ciliary cells are very much helpful. Next one we have to see the ciliary movement which is helpful in female reproductive tract. We call it as fallopian tube. In the fallopian tube, they help in passage of the ovum. So this passage of ovum is processed by the cilia which is present in the fallopian tract. And then we have to see the next one, that is muscular movement. You can see movement of our limbs, jaws, tongue, all are happening by because of this contractile ability of these muscles, and they are effectively used for locomotion and movements, and these effects are almost occurring in all the multicellular organisms. So locomotion is happened by this muscle. So locomotion need and coordinated activity of the muscular system and the skeletal system. So in this chapter we are going to study about these locomotory actions. So we are going to see here muscles. Before that, some other structures are need to be seen. So the first one is flagella. Flagella and cilia, they both are helpful for locomotion. Where flagella is used, we will see first. So in sperms, the tail filament that is acting as the flagellum, which is helpful for the sperm to move. Then cilia, they are helpful for some other animals which may be used for some other functions like sponges. So sponges, the inner wall or spongocells are having collar cells which are having cilia, which produces water current, which makes the water to come into the spongocele from the external environment through a pore, we call it as ostia. So you can see in this diagram or in this image a GIF, at the base of the sponges they are injecting the dye. How this dye is coming out through this another hole at the top. So this top hole we call it as osculum, and the body of the sponges are having smaller holes, we call it as ostia. So cilia is helpful for producing water current in sponges. Due to this water current, the water enters, that cilia is producing water current by which the water is entering inside and coming out through the osculum. So this is helpful for capturing food. So other structures which are helpful for various other functions in various other organisms. Okay. So next we will see about this euglena. In euglena, locomotion is happening through flipping of this long filament, we call it as flagella. You can see in the diagram, this is euglena, this long whip like structure, that is flagella, which is helpful for locomotion of these organisms. And next we will see about the classification of muscles. Okay, so there are many criteria for classification of muscle based on locomotion, appearance and nature of regulation. On these basis the muscles have been classified, are divided into three types. So they are skeletal muscle, visceral muscle and cardiac muscle. We will see one by one classification of muscles based on their location. They are three types. So they are skeletal muscle, visceral muscle and the cardiac muscle. First one we will see about the skeletal muscle. So it is called as skeletal muscles because it attached with the skeleton, and these muscles can also be called as striated muscles because they are having striations when we see under microscope. And it can also be called as voluntary muscles. Why do we call this as voluntary muscles? Because they are under the control of central nervous system. That's why they can be called as voluntary muscles. They are not under the involuntary nervous system, or it is not under the control of autonomic nervous system. And next we will see about the visceral muscles. These visceral muscles are located on the walls of the internal organs like alimentary canal and the reproductive tract. You can see here in this diagram that alimentary canal, in which these types of smooth muscles, we call it as visceral muscles. Visceral, what do you mean by visceral? Internal. These muscles are present inside the body in various hollow organs. And next we have to see the nature of these visceral muscles. These visceral muscles have no striations and they look smooth. That's why they are called as smooth muscle, and they are not under the control of voluntary nervous system. So they are called as involuntary muscle. They help in transport of food through digestive tract and also to transport the gametes in the female reproductive tract, that is fallopian tube. That's why it is under the control of autonomic nervous system. Next we will see about the cardiac muscles. So cardiac muscle, they present on the walls of the heart. So they arranged in an branching pattern to form this cardiac muscle. So based on the appearance, these cardiac muscles are striated and they are involuntary in nature. Okay, these are the cardiac muscles which are involuntary in nature and they are having branches. Okay, that's why it is branched pattern in appearance. Next we have to see skeletal muscle. Next we have to see muscle diagram. You see here, this is a large muscle which is made up of many bundles. In that, if we see a single fiber, we call that as muscle fiber, and these are called as muscle cell. Inside this muscle cell, smaller unit is present, and this smaller unit we call it as myofibril, And this myofibril consists of many smaller units. We call it as actin and myosin. Okay, these are present in the myofibril. And this myofibril can be divided into many smaller segments, and those segments we call it as sarcomere. Let us see about this skeletal muscle in depth. Each skeletal muscle is an organized structure, and muscle bundles, or we call it as fascicles, they are held together by a common collagenous connective tissue layer. We call it as fascia. So that's why we call them as fascicle. And each muscle bundle contains a number of muscle fibers. We saw this in the previous diagram. Okay, next you see here, this is muscle, and which consists of many smaller units. Muscle fiber is covered by a plasma membrane. We call it as sarcolemma. This sarcolemma encloses a jelly-like substance. We call it as sarcoplasm. And many fibers, these muscle fibers are syncytium, we say. Why do we say this as syncytium? Because it consists of many nucleus, so we call them as syncytium. And this muscle fiber has large number of parallelly arranged filaments in this sarcoplasm, and these filaments we call it as myofilaments or myofibrils. Let us see that myofibril here. This myofibril has an alternative dark and light bands on it. We are going to see here about the myofibril. This myofibril consists of alternative dark and light bands. The endoplasmic reticulum of this muscle fiber, we call it as sarcoplasmic reticulum. And sarcoplasmic reticulum is acting as the storehouse of calcium. So calciums are stored in this sarcoplasmic reticulum. In normal cells we call this sarcoplasmic reticulum as endoplasmic reticulum. And we'll see about the next one, that is myofibril. See in this diagram, this is a skeletal muscle fiber within which many myofibrils are there. These myofibrils, this is the myofibril which is covered by a membrane. This membrane we call it as sarcoplasmic reticulum. Myofibril consists of dark and light band which are distributed evenly on this myofibril filament. So the light band which is made of actin, and that band we call it as isotrophic band, and another band we call it as dark band, and this dark band consists of myosin which we call it as A band or anisotropic band. Okay, this is a myofibril which consists of light area and a dark area. So this light area we call it as I band, and which consists of actin filament in that, and next one is A band which consists of myosin filament. And in overall structure you can see here the light and dark band. This area seems to be dark and this area seems to be light. Next we have to see these filaments. So we will see about these filaments in the next class.